We have a very special guest here in studio, Robert Wuhl. Thank you so much for joining us here in South Texas.
Happy.
Now, we're a sports show, so we're going to talk about the main show that you did, Arliss, on HBO back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Really a staple in sports entertainment back then. What inspired you to do this show?
Besides the payday, we'll say I wanted to do a show that was a satire on the world of sports, as told through the eyes of a very self-serving sports agent. I knew something about sports. I used to sell beer in the Astrodome when I went to school at U of H. So I knew the world of sports. I knew business a little bit because my family had a family business. So to me, it was a guy just running a business that had a very unique clientele, which were very young clientele whose sports life expectancy is very short, and they were making a lot of money, and it was an independent operation, and I thought I could tell stories that way about human behavior. 7
seasons later, and a great success on HBO. The coolest part, I think, is that you had so many pro athletes, so many sports figures that came and made cameos, about 400. Okay, we're going to ask you, if you could choose the top 5 appearances, cameos from people that came on, who would they be and why?
Top 5 sports. I'm going to talk about athletes. Now you got to remember something else too. The athletes were there mostly for texture. They weren't there to carry plot. They're not actors.
Right.
You don't ask. You don't ask. The secret to it was don't ask them to do something they're not capable of doing. It's just silly. But some are better than others. I'm going to put broadcasters to the side because they are performers.
Okay.
The actual athletes that jump out at me now. A couple of them I'm good friends with. Roger Clemens.
Ooh.
Barry Bonds, believe it or not. Roy Jones Jr., the boxer. Barry Larkin. A bunch of women. Billie Jean King. I remember Peekaboo Street, Marion Jones, Cheryl Miller. I'm trying to think of the women. Who else is jumping out at me? There was they were. I said Reggie Miller. I'm sure there were some other. Lincoln Kennedy, because Lincoln Kennedy was a drama minor in college. We found out he actually was the one guy Clemens too. We actually let them carry plot. David Wells was another one, the pitcher, because he loved to curse, and we were on HBO.
So you could.
Yeah.
Okay, so since we're in Texas, since we're in Cowboy Nation, we heard that Troy Aikman was asked to do it. We have to ask, right? Is there any truth to the fact that he said no? What happened with that?
No, he said yes.
He said yes.
And then didn't show up.
Oh, no. What happened?
Ask Troy.
So he
We're
said
75 people on the set waiting for Troy. We're still waiting. Oh. Now, to be fair and to give him a little bit of due,
yes, okay.
He did allow us, because we shot him in the opening credit sequence. We had all the athletes, and Troy allowed us to use his, we shot him, and he did allow us to use that. So I don't know if that was makeup or whatever, but we have to give him his props.
So a little appearance there. There's so much happening in the sports world lately since the show wrapped. Would you ever consider revamping the show?
Yeah, I would. It's HBO's call pretty much because they do own the show, and it's not beyond the realm of possibilities. It would be tough getting the whole cast back together. Well, it would be tough getting Sandra Oh back on the show. That would be the most toughest thing because this was her first series. I cast Sandra. But yeah, because the topics are still great. I mean, sports have become much bigger, much bigger than when we were on. And it was big then, but what's interesting then is how a certain section of the creative community really turned their nose down, looked their nose down on us because sports. And a lot of them weren't involved in sports growing up. And I never got that, but it was definitely there. I mean, to a large extent, there was a great antipathy towards some people towards sports, which now is lessened a bit, a bit.
Well, and your show certainly helped that, Arliss.
I don't know if it helped it or not. I don't know. We did good work.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Robert Wuhl, in studio. We really appreciate your time and love watching you on the big screen and at home on TV. Thank you.